By a slim margin, these were the losers of the poll last week, beat out by banana and coconut cream pies. But this recipe is a winner. These are my banana nut muffins, and they are so delicious, you will be shocked that they could have lost that poll. But if you're interested in seeing how they're done, stick around, because it's coming up next. Hello and welcome to my kitchen. My name is Roy. I am a home cook and amateur baker, and I am here on this channel sharing recipes that have helped me to lose over 125 pounds, whether those recipes are mine or someone else's. Now today is one of mine, and I'd actually thought that I had done a video for this. But someone recently asked if I had a banana bread recipe, and I was going to recommend the video and realized I hadn't made this yet. Now, this is not a banana bread. You can make it as a banana bread. I prefer to make it as muffins because, as you probably know, I am not great at portioning things out. I will have the top this thick and the bottom this thick. I will have one slice this size, one slice this size. Muffins are far easier for me, but you can make this as a banana nut bread. There will just be a few changes that you'll have to do, and I will cover that later. Now, the first thing you're going to need, obviously, is bananas. I have on the recipe I put 3 medium to large bananas. You want it about 12 to 14 ounces. This is about 14 ounces that I have here, and it started off with the peels and stems and everything as about 20 ounces. So that should give you a rough idea of how much you need from the store to get this amount here. But about 3 medium large bananas should do you pretty well. I have some baking spray. If you use cooking spray, I do recommend that you take a tablespoon of flour, put it in a little sifter and dust after you've sprayed it. Or you could always use cupcake liners. As many of you know, I always have difficulty with cupcake liners, and I don't know where my silicone liners are. They're buried somewhere after the remodel. So I go without. I usually prefer that anyways because I hate when I peel away the paper and some of the muffin or cupcake or whatever it is stuck to it. I want all of that in my mouth. I don't know about you, but I'm greedy like that. We also have here 1.5 cups of flour. Now you could, if you wanted to, replace 1/2 cup of that with protein powder, which I'll often do to lower the bites or points. In this case, it didn't really help, but if you do need some more protein in your diet, that is an option for you to just replace 1/2 cup of this with protein powder. I have here 1/2 cup of walnuts. Now these are going to be toasted, and I decided that I would show you once again. I know I showed it in another video that some people may not have seen. I'm going to show you how to toast it. It's really quick, really easy, but really enhances the flavor of the walnuts. Any type of nut, you should always toast it even before you eat it, just because it really enhances the flavor and gives it a nice depth. I have here 1/3 cup of brown sugar replacement. You can use white sugar replacement, or you could use a combination. The brown sugar gives it a nice little caramel note to the background, but if you use white, it would just let the banana show a little bit more prominently. So it's your call. I prefer the brown sugar, but you're not stuck to that. I have 1/4 cup of non-fat Greek yogurt here at room temperature, as well as 1 egg at room temperature. I have 2 teaspoons of baking powder, make sure it's baking powder, and then 1 teaspoon of baking soda. There's a 1/2 teaspoon of table salt, a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. So that's it for the ingredients. Let me shuffle a couple of things around and we will toast our walnuts. Okay, so for the walnuts, I'm going to set my little saute pan here over medium heat and just add those in. Now, I have not chopped these yet, and the reason I haven't is because they could toast a lot more quickly if you did that and have more of a chance to burn. But if you want to chop them first, just watch them a little more closely. Now, this is going to take about 5 minutes. And you notice I did not spray the pan. You want this in a dry pan. All you're doing is trying to cook some of the oils in there and enhance the flavor. So I'm going to just move these around, toss them a little bit for the next 5 minutes, and then I will be done and we will chop them up and let them cool. Okay, so it's been about 5 minutes. You can see there are some little dark spots that are forming on the walnuts. You don't want them to get too dark, you just want them to get a little deeper in color, and you definitely know they're done when you start smelling it. Now, I did fail to mention that this is a half a cup of walnuts, but it's 60 grams. I prefer weighing them out. Because of the odd shape of the walnuts, I'm never sure if I'm getting an accurate half cup, so I prefer weighing them, and that's 60 grams. But I did want to check something to see if the toasting made any difference in the weight. As I said last week in my cream pie video, and if you have not seen that, I will put a card up here and link it down below. I did mention that I like to pre-toast my walnuts when I buy them, and obviously I use a much bigger pan because you want them in a single layer. I thought I was going to use them, and then I was like, I wonder if the toasting affects the weight at all. So we are going to check. I turn on my scale with the bowl on it that I had the walnuts in earlier so that it is zeroed out. Make sure it's on the grams. And let's just see if toasting affected the weight at all. I mean, it's good for me to know since I do pre-toast my walnuts a lot. Nope, no effect. I think I was at 59 when I started, so I'm at 59 now. So pre-toasted walnuts do not affect the weight. All right, so now I'm going to chop these up because we want these to cool down. And just a little bit, they don't have to be too crazy. You don't need them in the fridge or anything like that. You just don't want them to start cooking any of your ingredients, your muffin ingredients, or bread if you're doing it as a bread. Now, I like to chop these up quite small because we're not using a lot. So I want them to be able to disperse throughout the muffins. And by making them much smaller, you get that flavor more evenly spread throughout and lets you get away with using a little bit less. So let me finish chopping this up and I'll be right back. Okay, so that's fairly good. If you do see any that are fairly large, you just want to chop into that a little bit, but that looks good. So I'm not going to put them back in the bowl. I'm going to spread them out so that they can cool as we're assembling the rest of the ingredients. So I'll be right back to get that started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is mix together our dry ingredients, the flour, the baking powder and baking soda, the salt, and the cinnamon. And we're just going to whisk that together. This is the lazy man sifting, where you don't have to put it through a sifter. You just combine everything this way until it's all a homogeneous color and things seem to be pretty well dispersed. And that looks good right there. So I'll set that aside. And now we'll work on the wet ingredients. Firstly, mashing our bananas. You want to get them mashed up pretty well. And these should be very ripe. And when they are very ripe, it enhances the sugars in there, the natural sugars, but it also allows some liquid to be released, which is going to help keep our muffins moist. Okay, that's pretty good. And I want to make sure I have all of that banana flavor. And then we're going to add in the Greek yogurt, the egg, the brown sugar. This is considered often in recipes to be a wet ingredient because, as I've mentioned in other videos, what it does is it becomes part of the liquid rather than like if you mix flour with liquid, it would become something else entirely. It would become like a paste. This becomes part of the liquid, so often you will see it added in with the wet ingredients for that reason. So I'm just going to whisk this all together until everything is well incorporated. Now, if you wanted to, you could beat the egg beforehand, but because it is at room temperature, it incorporates fairly easily. So I'm not overly worried about it. Bring in our walnuts. And we're going to add the dry into the wet, which is why we had the wet things in a larger bowl than obviously we needed. And you just want to stir this until it's fairly well combined, but not crazy mixing, because you do not want this to get a very heavy, dense texture, which over mixing could cause, because it will develop the gluten in the flour. All right, so now that it's mostly incorporated, you can see that there's some flour still left in there. I'm going to add the walnuts in now because I don't want to overmix it. And if I kept going until the flour was completely gone and then added this in, I'd be mixing more, and that would cause a little bit of gluten formation, which, as I said, we do not want. And now we're just going to finish combining until we don't see any flour, till it just loses the flour. Like right now, yep, pretty much all the flour is gone. There's obviously a little on the edge of the bowl, but that's not a big deal. Okay, now I'm going to bring in my muffin pan, and this has been sprayed with the baking spray. I have my number 16 scoop here, which is about a 1/4 cup. I'm going to start with that and then see if I can go any further or not, if I need to spread any more out. But for those of you who don't know about the numbers, often on a lot of scoops, on this little sweeper inside, there is a number, and that corresponds to how many of these scoops would fit into 1 quart. This is a number 16, which is about equal to a 1/4 cup. So we're going to scoop this into our muffin tins, and we're going to then spread out any remaining, if any of them look a little low, because even though I'm using a scoop, it doesn't always come out precisely, because sometimes I hold it against the side of the bowl better, so, you know, it's always something. But anyway, I'm going to fill these up, and then we will move on. Okay, so that's fairly evenly dispersed there. Now, if you wanted to make this as a bread, I have not done a bread with this because, as I said, I prefer doing muffins. If you did, it could take up to an hour for it to finish baking if you're doing it as a bread. A lot of these quick breads tend to take about 45 to 55 minutes. I've not done this in a loaf pan, so if you do, I would reduce the temperature of the oven to 350 degrees, and I would check it at about 25 to 30 minutes, see where it is, and you'll probably need to go for the full 45 to 55 minutes. But as I said, because of portioning, I much prefer the ease of having these at the ready. I can just grab it and go. I don't have to worry about slicing it, making sure that all the slices are even. So these are going into a preheated 375 degree oven. We want a little of that, what they call oven spring, where it goes in hot and it's like, whoa, it wakes up. If you did that with the bread, the outside might brown too much before the inside is cooked. So that's why I suggest lowering the temperature if you're doing it as a bread. But these are going into a 375-degree oven for about 15 to 18 minutes. And then I will be back to show you what they look like when they come out. Okay, so there we have them. Delicious banana nut muffins. They were in about 17 minutes. What I did was I put them in for about half the time, 8 minutes, then rotated the pan. Just in case there are any hot spots in your oven, that's always a good idea to rotate your pans halfway through. And if you're using more than one rack, say you're doing cookies, you not only want to rotate the pans, but you also want to swap positions. That way there's more even cooking. The bad thing is now we have to wait 15 minutes for these to cool in the pan. Then I will remove them and we will go over the nutrition facts. I'll be right back. Okay, it's been a very long 15 minutes. Actually, it's been about 13. I'm gonna go against my own rule. Just gonna take these out. And then you can eat them right away if you want, while they're still warm, or you can wait until they cool off. It's totally your call. What I like to do, take them and cut them in half and like grill them in a pan or reheat them in a toaster oven. But it is your call how you eat them. But there you have it, my banana nut muffins. Now each muffin is going to be 2 Better Balanced bites. I am on the Healthi Better Balance plan, which is equivalent to the old WW Blue plan, but just put it in the recipe builder as you're doing it for your plan, and you should be fine. Now, if you wanted to drop these by a bite, you could get rid of the nuts. You could just make banana muffins, and that would make them only 1 bite each. You could change up the nut. You could use pecans if you wanted to, of course, toasted. I believe that might alter the bites depending on how much you use. Or you could even use like some sugar-free chocolate chips. That would be nice in there, banana and chocolate. You could possibly even, and I haven't done this yet, but replace a little bit of the flour with some powdered peanut butter. I would probably go for about 1/4 cup and get a little banana peanut butter going on. Now, as I said, I have not tried that, but that would be my first step, and then I would play around with the ratio if I need a little more peanut butter or a little less. But as I said, as they are, these are 2 Better Balanced bites or WW Blue points. If you are following calories, each one of these is 127 calories. And if you're following macros, the fat would be 3.4 grams. The carbs would be 25.6 grams. The fiber would be 1.7 grams. And the protein would be 3.1 grams. And again, that's as I did them. If you change the nuts out, if you remove them, if you added the protein powder, all sorts of things go into what the macros will be, or the bites and calories for that matter. So just make sure you're putting it in the recipe builder. Now the recipe for these muffins will be on my blog. They've been on there for a while, which is why I thought I'd already done a recipe video for them. But you will find them on the blog, and that is linked below. I will also link directly to the muffins because some people say they have a little difficulty navigating the site. Although there's a little magnifying glass just above the first recipe that you'll find. And if you just type in banana nut and hit search, it'll give you anything with banana nut in it. But I will link directly to that, as well as just the blog itself down below. So I hope that you enjoyed this video and this recipe, and if you did, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet and you are looking for recipes that can help you on a weight loss journey. Share any of my videos if you think there's someone out there who would be interested in the content, and hit the notification bell for the next time I upload any sort of video. Also, comment down below, were banana nut muffins the ones you voted for in that poll the other week? Or did you vote for the cream pies? Are you going to try these anyway, even if you voted for cream pies? They are definitely worth trying. Now also in the description box, you'll find links to my Amazon storefront, my Fetch rewards, my Built Bar rewards, and my social media. Here is my Instagram handle if you'd like to follow me over there. And there are 2 Facebook groups that I am part of. One is mine, Recipes with Roy, And the other one is Finding Our Way, W-E-I-G-H. And that one I co-admin with Jennifer Lynn from the Jennifer Lynn channel, as well as Bree Coleman from Balancing Life with Bree. So join us over there for lots of great tips, tricks, recipes, support, and people. So I guess I know what my midday snack is going to be, and I cannot wait. So until next time, bye.